Hey, g'day big bikers. Well, it's not a ride day today, and it probably won't be a ride day for another 3 or 4 weeks until I get this off. It's been 1 month since my accident, so 4 weeks. So I've got to have this on my hand for about 6 to 8 weeks. So seeing how we go. Really grateful. As a result of the accident, I've only broken a couple of bones in my hand, so I've got to keep the splint on and just wait it out. As a result of the accident, I also broke 3 small fractures in my tailbone in the coccyx, which really hurts, and had a pretty significant hit to the head. So there's some concussion in there as well, which adds to the vagueness. I'm not sure if it's age, I'm not sure I'm losing my memory, or if it is just some of the effects of concussion. Anyway, I'm really grateful. It wasn't a lot worse than that. Sadly, the bike got ridden off, and I'll show you the video of why it got ridden off. I know a few people questioned, it didn't seem that bad, why would they ride the bike off? So I'll explain that. The hardest part and the biggest drama for me was actually getting out of Bathurst. And what was a nightmare that became. And I know there's a number of guys I've spoken to who've had accidents on their bikes while they've been in other states or away from home and thousands of kilometres. And it is absolute pain to get your bike and your gear, and particularly if you're injured, to get all that stuff back home again. So let's go and have a look at all that. There's a lot of conjecture about the accident, and it was a narrow bit of road. The road was probably only a stretch 3 metres wide. Most cars are about 2.5. It was a reducing radius corner. The guy was definitely over my side of the road, and as you see from, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm super paranoid, and I keep left as much as possible when I'm on narrow, windy roads, purely and simply because of that paranoia about oncoming vehicles. So yeah, I was expecting it, I was prepared for it, but wasn't ready. And if you play it in real time, it happened in the blink of an eye. It just happened so quickly. I got on the brakes, the bike stood up because of that, but I had nowhere to go, so I leaned in and braced myself against the car. What happened was the Outback Motortech engine guard, which is there to protect the bike engine if the bike falls over, got caught in that gap between the dual cab and the style side, and just opened it up like a can opener. But what that did was actually caught the bar, jammed it back against the frame, twisted it out, and just lifted the back wheel out. And I reckon that protected my leg. I reckon that's the reason why I've got no other injuries than just a broken hand and some other small injuries. Well, not small, but they're painful and can take months to heal, but they could have been way worse. I rode to the hospital. There's a number of reasons I rode to the hospital. One is I could still use my finger. I had a big winter glove on, and it actually acted like a splint. I didn't take that off even at the hospital until the doctor was ready to x-ray it, because I knew that finger was very, very heavily displaced and there were some broken bones in there. So I left that on as a splint. I knew there was going to be swelling, and I knew that was going to be a problem, but I was still okay to use fingers and throttle and the rear brake to be able to stop the bike. Whenever I went over a cattle grid or potholes or whatever, I just lift that hand off the handlebars just so that it wasn't bracing and shaking. The other reason I did is I hated the idea of me being that guy that ruins the holiday for everyone else. So I told the guys, just get me to the hospital, just escort me there, I'll take it from there, you guys go on your way, because I didn't want to be the guy that was holding up them from having a great holiday on a ride down to Phillip Island, and that's what they did. So I've been on a number of rides, we've been watching for a while. There's been a number of times where someone's been injured, and it's a horrible thing to have to happen on a ride, and it is really inconvenient for everyone else, because everyone just wants to help. They want to make sure that the person that's injured is taken care of and completely okay. But it's I've been on rides where guys have died. I've been on rides where you know, guys have been caught under burning bikes, and it's not cool, you know. And I've been on rides where people have been injured and they continue, or I've been on rides where people have had a crash and they've had to be helicoptered out. And it's inconvenient for those that are actually trying to have a nice holiday. So they got me to hospital, continued on their way. I went through the process at hospital, getting all this sorted out. I went through all of the X-rays and just all that rubbish. And then as I'm waiting after discharge at the emergency hospital at Bathurst base, service was fantastic. They were so good. I called the insurance company. I explained what had happened, and they came and got my bike. I booked a hotel room because it was late in the afternoon at that stage. I couldn't go anywhere anyway, and I thought what I'll do is I'll just book a flight out of Bathurst and I'll fly back to Brisbane, and that was my plan. So the guy turned up with the tow truck, put all of the stuff, so I still had all my luggage and everything on the bike. He put the bike on the back of the truck with all my luggage. I climbed in. I had my hand in a full-length brace, and so it was very difficult for me to carry the panniers and my boots and helmet and all that sort of stuff. So I asked the guy if he wouldn't mind dropping me off at the hotel, which was on his way to the yard anyway. So this might be the last time I see the girl. What a way to end. The back of a tow truck. Outside the Bathurst Hospital. That wasn't supposed to happen. The accident happened, it was Russian roulette, it was bad luck. The guys were leapfrogging each other along the bridle track, so one would stop and take a photo, another one would stop and get a video, one would stop and get pictures of the bikes riding past, and I'd stop and take photos and video, and so we were just all leapfrogging each other. So for me to be at the front and the lead rider at that time was just bad luck. It could have been worse, it wasn't, and so I'm grateful for that. It's all inconvenient. This will heal, the tailbone will heal. Hopefully I'll get some brain recovery back. Who knows? They did do a CT scan and they did find evidence of a brain, so that's okay. I'm quite happy with that. Contrary to popular opinion, the biggest problem, as I said, was actually getting out of Bathurst. I work in aviation. I've been on a commercial flight to Bathurst in the past, so I know there's an airport there. Bathurst is home of the Mount Panorama race, which is one of the largest motor vehicle races in Australia. So I know that there's an airport there. So that night I'm sitting in the hotel room. I actually had a couple of glasses of red wine. I had some Endone, very powerful pain relief. I had a couple of glasses of red wine, really vague as a side effect of the concussion. I had ordered a steak from the restaurant I was staying at. The hotel had a really nice restaurant, but I couldn't cut the steak because I had this big thing on my hand. So the restaurant owner came over and cut the steak up for me, which was really funny. But I'm telling you that because Miss Buttons had to do it the next night. I'm sitting in my hotel room. I had my laptop with me, and I'm trying to book a flight out of Bathurst, and I thought, why isn't this working? BHS is the airport code. I'm trying to go Bathurst to Brisbane, and I just could not find it. There was nothing in Qantas, there was nothing for Virgin, Jetstar, Rex Aviation, there was Alliance, there was nothing available, and I'm just thinking, I couldn't figure it out. I thought, okay, I've got concussion, I've had a couple of glasses of red wine, I'm on a very strong painkiller, I cannot figure this out. I was just doing my head in, and I was texting Ms. Buttons while it was happening, and she said, she'll have a look. And then I went, look, I'll sort it out tomorrow. It's late. I've got to go to bed. So I went to bed. So I had a good night's sleep, a couple of glasses of red, painkillers, but I woke up quite early because the painkillers had worn off and my hand was really throbbing, my back was quite sore. And I actually, at this stage, I didn't know I'd had a couple of cracks in my tailbone, so it was just sore, and I figured just bruising from landing on my back. I couldn't figure out why there were no flights out of Bathurst. I thought, okay, like I'm just going to call one of the airport rental car companies, and I'll just book a car. Probably going to be easy to drive home anyway because I've got left pannier, right pannier, tool bag on the back, tank bag, helmet, boots, jacket, one hand. So I figured maybe if I just hire a car. So I called the hire car companies at the airport. They rang out. I called both of the companies that were supposed to be at the airport. Both phones rang out. I called the rental car company that was based in the city. I called in the town of Bathurst. I called them. They answered the phone. And I said, why can't I get a car? Or, what's happening? She's gone, oh, we don't, commercial flights, the airport's shut. They don't do commercial flights out of Bathurst anymore. You've got to go to Orange, which is an hour away, or Sydney, which is 3.5 hours away. I went, I've got stuff. Anyway, I said, look, can I just get a one-way rental from Bathurst to Brisbane? No, sorry, we don't do one-way rentals from Bathurst to Brisbane anymore because it's not a corporate facility, it's a franchise. Only corporate cars do one-way rentals. I went, okay. It was proving more difficult to get out of Bathurst than it was to get out of a Las Vegas casino. You know, those are easy to get into, you can't get out of, can never find the exit door on a casino in Las Vegas. So I'm like, I called Orange. I couldn't hire a car from there. I couldn't get there to get a flight. I actually spoke to Glenn, who lives down that way, and said, can I leave my bags with you because I'm going to have to catch a flight and I can't. He's, yep, no problem at all. And he was really, really helpful. And at the end of the day, I still needed to get from Bathurst to Orange, an hour away. So whether it was by bus or whatever, or Bathurst to Sydney, I called a rental car company in Sydney, and yes, I could get a one-way rental from Sydney to Brisbane, but I had to get there. Anyway, at the end of the day, I'm talking to Miss Buttons about it, and I'm going, this is just like, it's just doing my head in because I'm obviously in pain. I'm still on painkillers, and she's gone, you know what? Just leave it. I'll fly down. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning at this stage. I'll fly down. I'll hire the car out of Sydney. I'll drive up and get you, and then we'll drive home. And that was the plan. I'll let her tell the story because I've got a video of her having dinner that night. She was peaking by the time she got there. I got to tell you, she was just fired right up. And so I'm kind of like, here's your glass of wine. Thank you for coming here to get me. That afternoon, I went down to have a look at the bike. I just caught a taxi down to the holding yard for the tow truck company. I went down there, have a look at the bike. It was pretty beat up, but yeah, I thought it might be recoverable. There was quite a big bang in the front wheel. Because the handlebars went like, I hit the car, and then that gap between the dual cab and the style side did all the damage. So I mentioned that crash bar got pulled out, but that's also where my hand got broken. It pulled the bike onto the car, and yeah, I think the bars were bent, forks maybe. But what had happened was that engine bar had actually been shoved back and up onto the frame, and so there was a dent in the frame, and that's why they wrote it off. So I've impacted the car up here, and I've broken my hand on this. I reckon it wasn't the car that broke my hand, it was this bark buster. So that bark buster is undamaged, which is incredible. The Outback Motortech crash bars are actually so solid, they've pushed the mount up into the frame, and there's a bit of a dent there in the frame, so they'll definitely write it off. The damage to this thing though, so I was able to ride it to the hospital, but the front wheels buckled and the handlebars are twisted, and just, yeah, it's not, they're not going to make it, it's not going to make it back. But keep an eye out, everyone. There's some good Wilbur suspension up under there. I'm just going to take off the Outback, the Moscow Moto stuff, because I'll need that, and probably the mounting plate.
So that's it. Sad day for the girl.
I figured they'd write it off. I believed that was probably enough damage to it to write it off. So I stripped the bike. I took all of my camera mounts. I took the luggage mounts off. I took all the tyre pressure sensors and all the stuff that was mine. I took it off the bike and put it into my gear and took it home. And then I waited for Ms. Buttons to turn up, and she was supposed to be there around about 6 o'clock. I had a glass of red wine waiting for her. I had a glass of red wine while I was waiting for her, and ordered some dinner. So have a look at this video. It's very, very funny.
How good's the steak?
I don't know. I can't cut mine.
Are you serious?
Because, you know, I'm one-handed.
Are you actually serious?
Would you mind cutting the steak?
Actually do.
I know
It's
you've got
been
How long is it since
midday. Get a flight from Coolangatta Airport. Organise a girlfriend to drop me at Coolangatta Airport. Get to Coolangatta Airport. Get a flight down there. Have to hire a car. Wait half an hour to hire the car. It's a 4-hour drive up to here because of the traffic. And it's Rouville hour and Wombat hour, and the sun is setting. And my Apple AirPlay dies. And my phone dies. And I have no directions. I've just got to follow the highway.
All right, but
Anyway.
my steak's getting cold.
Oh, right.
So-
you want me to cut it?
Would you mind cutting
Sure.
the steak?
But there's going to be tax. You've got surf and
There's
turf.
steak tax.
I didn't get surf and turf.
Right.
Bit of tax. All
Right.
right, I'll cut it up.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
How do you like it? On aeroplanes or just on your fork?
Unless someone else gets to cut the steak today.
Someone else gets to
Well,
cut
you-
my steak.
Were you the boyfriend last night? Oh. Did you have to wipe the dribble off his chin or anything? Did you have to wipe him? No? All right. When you told me that someone had to cut his steak last night, I actually thought you were joking until that guy walked into the room just then and just said, oh, you found someone else to cut up your steak tonight. That's just so funny.
That's the way I like to do things.
I noticed you didn't struggle with the wine. That's your first bottle, you're almost halfway through. Nothing wrong with the wine drinking home.
I'm left-handed.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, that's a lot of packaging for one little tiny fingernail that you chipped.
A chipped fingernail. No, fingernail polish.
A fingernail polish that you chipped. Yes. Oh my gosh.
I just need to harden up, right?
You do, yeah. This is what happens when you shellac chips. You won't even know what that means, but shellac is a type of nail polish.
Right.
It's a
Well, I shellacked the side of a Hilux. How about that?
She's a very funny girl. But then we had a 15-hour drive from Bathurst back to Brisbane on the Thursday. So the accident happened on the Tuesday. I spent Tuesday night in Bathurst, all day Wednesday. She arrived Wednesday night, and we got up. Again, I woke quite early because my hand was sore. Painkillers had worn off. We woke up quite early. It was still dark. Just we're probably about half an hour away from sunrise, first light. We just decided, we'd already loaded the car, we just decided to go. So we took off and we drove home. So I'm really, really grateful that she was able to come and do that. Otherwise getting home might have been an actual real pain for me, particularly because I couldn't carry anything. But really glad that I had that support network. I had a couple of people contact me that lived within the radius. They saw my shorts on the video shorts on YouTube that I'd put up, and they saw the Instagram posts, and they contacted me and said, hey, do you need a hand? I'm really grateful for the community, for the friends I've made through BBA, through the connections and contacts. I'm really super grateful for that. All the kind words from the crash video. I hold no grudge against the guy. He lives in the ACT. He put into Google Maps Bathurst to Hill End, and it took him up the bridle track. He'd never been on that road before. He's actually a rider as well, so he was mortified. He was shaking at the fact that he'd taken down a motorbike. But he was in a two-wheel drive, and it's a four-wheel drive only. It's a recommended four-wheel drive. It's not a closed road to two-wheel drives, but there's a big sign right at the start that says four-wheel drives only. So he shouldn't have been on that bit of road. But as I said, bad luck. It was as much bad luck as anything else, and that's what happens. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for all the comments. It's been a real experience. So for me now, the search is on for what's the next bike. I've got a few bikes in mind. I really have always wanted an Africa Twin Adventure Sport DCT. That's high on the list. I'm not allowed to buy a KTM. They've actually banned me. I've been bagging them for that long. They sent me a letter, official letter from Austria. No, don't even, you're black banned. You're not allowed. BMW, I think I'm past the big bike stage, and beside I've got a VFR 1200, which has got a much better engine anyway. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's lots of really good bikes on the market. When I bought Mrs. Jones, there weren't a lot of options in terms of bikes to own in that big bike adventure, long range touring style bike to buy. But now there's a really great selection of bikes available. So I'm really looking forward to doing test rides when I can. I'm really looking forward to finding out what the style of riding I'm going to be doing, because I don't know if the long distance fully loaded trips to the outback is still something that's, I mean, I've done the trip several times. The reason I bought the 701 is so I could put it on the back of the Land Cruiser and drive it out there and then ride a small bike out in the desert. So do I need a big off-road adventure bike anymore? These are all the questions that I need to ask and answer. Over and out. Hey, g'day big bikers. Well, I finally made it out of Bathurst with my injuries. What a saga that was. Who would have thought that the sleepy country town of Bathurst was like a Las Vegas casino? You can get into it okay, but very difficult to find an exit. So after looking at planes, trains and automobiles, all of them dead ends, it took this legend,
BBA Uber,
who flew from the Tweed Coast down to Sydney, hired a car, drove for 3.5 hours in the dark, kangaroos everywhere, picked me up, and now we're heading home. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and you owe me a bloody big tip for this one.
Oh, I got a good tip for everyone. Watch out for blind corners on the bridle track.